All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another episode of The Lockup. With me today is co-host Brian Bella, and joining us is the ever fantastic Vinny Rattlocke. Vinny, how are you?
Greetings and salutations, everybody. You'll give me 1 second. Igor, yes. Make sure that you DVR the latest episode of Blacklist. So, thank you. Anyway, how
All
are
right.
we all doing tonight?
We are fantastic.
I'm doing
Great.
quite well, thank you. Spent my day on the road, but other than that, pretty well.
Good.
So, Vinny, as a promoter and a wrestler, Brian has recently just signed up for pro wrestling school himself.
Where are you
Vinny-
heading to?
Oregon Pro Wrestling School. It's brand new. It hasn't actually even officially opened yet.
Okay.
It's mid June will be when it officially opens. It's ran by Ricky Gibson.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a lot of people know of him, so that's really cool to just kind of learn. I didn't know you were going to put me on the spot like that.
Well,
Chris.
see, what you guys hadn't realized is that this is actually going to be a podcast where I interview you. No, I'm kidding.
We've actually got a third member joining us. This is Orlando. Orlando, this is
Well-
Vinny.
The more the merrier. Welcome, Orlando.
Hi there.
I hope you're doing
Nice
well
to meet
as
you.
well.
Yes, thank you very much for asking. I'm doing
Orlando's
well.
down in the sweltering hot Florida as well.
Yes. Very hot, very hot.
Yes, it's pleather. I mean, no.
All right, so we'll do a little mixture here. We'll do a little back and forth. You work as a promoter as well. What's it been like, starting up your own promotion, wrestling, and trying to do both during a pandemic?
Well, having been a promoter in the early, or not mid to late 2000s and stuff, I've discovered that a lot of things, especially during the times of the pandemic, I was having issues in the mid to late 2000s getting a proper fan base and whatnot, because a lot of the matches and ideas and venues and everything I was wanting to go for, people saw as being either taboo or too extreme. We were wrestling out of like a small barn or a 2-car garage and whatnot, and people were just over, like, they wouldn't even give that a second look, knowing that there was a show there. However, during the pandemic, people were so starved for entertainment that our very first "Hey, welcome back" show was actually on, which I believe one of your previous guests, Taryn Juniper, had stated, was we had done one where we did a special for Cabin Fever. And Cabin Fever was, I'll get to that in a second. But actually, our first show, I digress, was on the 3rd floor of a high school that was built in 1938 in an old room that was originally the science room. So perfect for me to set up there. The building had been converted. The building was converted to hold businesses and whatnot. And a friend of mine who was a teacher for Mullum Combat Arts was looking for a fundraiser, because they do self-defense classes for all ages and whatnot. So he came to me with the idea, and knowing that I was helping train him to be a referee, we just stated, hey, why not do a no-ring wrestling show? It's martial art. Some people do consider professional wrestling a style of martial art. And so we held it, and we had quite a few. We had Schwartzy was there, as well as Zodiac, Anthony Lee, Kira as well, and just probably another like 7 or 8 people. And they was trying to scoff at it, but at the same time, because of what was going on during this, the sickness, as we call it, Some other people call it the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. Um,
That hurts.
well, because on YouTube, if you call it what it is, you immediately get shut down because of the programming and whatnot. So you give us new titles. I didn't know why. I think they should have called it the Bat Flu. I mean, come on now, the Batman flu or whatever you want. Everybody has to start wearing cowls. So they're wearing masks up here and not down here. However, they were. They in Indiana, we were so starved to see professional wrestling that even though the room could only hold 25 to 30 people besides the area that we allowed, we only had a 12 by 12 mat. And it was a mat that was for martial arts, so slamming and tossing and stuff, people could take the impact. No, it wasn't a ring, but that's the other thing that's beautiful about what's going on right now with professional wrestling being everywhere. And at that time, we were calling this promotion All Terrain Warriors. And all terrain means anywhere, not just the ring. I am trying to prove that if you're a professional wrestler, you don't need 4 sides. You don't need ropes. You don't need 6 sides. The world can be your ring. There's no out of bounds. You can pinfalls anywhere, and whatever's in the room is available as a piece of the match. As a matter of fact, Akira proved that by hitting Zodiac with 2 different children. So, and it was very, very successful. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, we had lost the area because when they battled down to the second floor, Zodiac accidentally threw Akira into the wall, causing it to break. So it was a $200. Anyway, we paid it, but they were a little scared of us having more wrestling, which was too bad because the next show we were supposed to have a fire escape tables match. That was going to be fun.
Ooh, I want to see that.
And I'm going to try to get that going again. But I'm very unorthodox in the way I do things. So, what are we going to do that's next? We lost our venue and people, because I mean, look what we had. We had the Collective show up to Indianapolis. Everybody thought that was supposed to be somewhere else. People know that Indiana was starting to become the prime place for independent professional wrestling when you have GCW show up. And now in July, we're going to be having ICW No Holds Barred, No Peace Underground, and others as well joining up in Marion County for a weekend of wrestling, which I was going to be having promotion there. But unfortunately, like I say, while I'm here, my wife has suffered a broken foot. And because of that, she's not allowed to be on it. And it would be hard for her to hobble around the house doing things for herself while I was gone. So, being the husband that I am, hopefully a good one. Hi, honey. Anyway, I am taking a sabbatical and a hiatus, and during that time, I will be doing stuff as you see here before you, as well as other endeavors to keep myself fresh in the minds of the fans, as well as other promotions, so that when I come back, they will hopefully still find a spot for me on their roster, as well as me finding a spot for them on mine.
Mm-hmm.
You
so
know
I
who
do
you
kind
are.
of want to bring up, I do kind of have a question. You were talking about, and I actually really liked it, that you were talking about the match can be anywhere, that doesn't necessarily have a ring or anything, or ropes. So my question to you is, were you a fan of Raw Underground?
Oh yeah, I'm Raw Underground. Now I will say the funny thing about this, Raw Underground to me, it still had a ring. They still got up on the ring and moved around stuff. If they would have removed that ring, see that was another one we were going to be doing. We were going to have all-terrain basement brawls. There was a gentleman that owned a house with a full-sized. And I'm 6'3", and I stood in the guy's basement, and there was still another 2 feet above me, and we were going to actually have fights down in the basement, wrestling and whatnot. But then I noticed that Time Bomb Pro had done something like that, so bravo to them. So yeah, when I saw Raw Underground take place, at first I was like, huh, yeah, we did it first. But anyway, I like the fact that I love the fact that they're actually trying something different, which I will touch on that multiple times because it's like I don't know if any of you three have been a part of the or seven or eight. I don't know. I myself have multiple personality syndrome. Um, I don't know how many of you out there have participated in, say, a haunted attraction, haunted house entertainment, and whatnot. There are many haunted houses that are big time and make tons of money. However, you will notice that if you went there when you were 12 and you go there when you're 24 and you go there when you're 36, you will remember exactly every room from when you were 12 because they won't change anything because they believe that if it did well when you were 12, it's going to do well again when you're 24. And that is what a lot of the, it's one of the reasons why WCW fell is happening with ECW, and WWE is doing the same thing, but because they have so much money, they're just like, Vince and whoever is just like, doesn't matter. You're still going to turn on the TV. You're going to watch us. We're going to do the same storylines, different people. But because we are who we are, you're going to eat the sandwich and smile. And I'm sick of it. I was happy to see Raw Underground, but it started to feel like the same thing was happening. Just they forgot to put ropes on. So it's like kudos for trying something a little different, but then at the same time, they decided to stick to that formula, and it was like, very well, and that's why you're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my opinion on that.
So do you think, okay, sorry, I'm going to go a little bit off topic, kind of going with the conversation though. So
trust me, we're going to go off topic plenty of times tonight.
So there's a lot of rumors and speculations right now about WWE and that they may be possibly going to sell. What is your opinion on that?
It'd be funny. But honestly, well, think of it this way. When you think of all these different corporations, you see these mergers happen, you would have never thought for a minute that Marvel would be owned by a mouse. And it happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I never once blinked at T-Mobile, and now they own Sprint.
And Metro.
If you notice, and yes, and Metro as well. And if you noticed, last year there were talks about the mouse being purchased by the Apple. So, in my opinion, or my thoughts, I don't think with such still a gold mine as it is, even if it is failing in ratings and whatnot, it's not failing that much. People are still buying T-shirts and foam fingers and wanting to. Well, now that people are there, I was going to say, having their face on the screen. It's still making some kind of money, and it's still lucrative. So it would almost be asinine for them to want to sell, but everybody's got a price. It's like the $1 Million Man said.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
the whole point. I can keep telling you, no, I'm not going to do something, but then that dollar amount will hit. And the same thing goes with people's morality. You might think that I will never say or do something, and then when they sit that in front of you in your head, you're like, well, in the back of my head, I know it's not true. So, and that's going to be the whole thing with WWE. They may have said no so many times that whoever is going to be making the purchase just went, what is your price? And they could have spit out a number and said this much. And they went, okay, here's a check. So now what?
Yeah.
They could have painted themselves into they can't back out. And they're like, well, this is a lot of money. And screw anybody else. Come on. I mean, you go buy a couple islands probably with however much they're going to be offered.
Yeah.
So even at this point of them, having their issue, they're still stupid rich. So.
Yeah. No matter what, I think that's kind of good. You mentioned Marvel.
How are you?
So you had mentioned Marvel, and I see some art on the back of your wall. Are you also a comic book fan?
I see Howard the Duck right there.
Oh, definitely. Oh, Howard's my guy. I have my top three, and
Okay.
they're strictly Marvel. Is Deadpool's my number three because, and I'm one of those people too that now that everybody likes Deadpool, they'd be like, well, now you don't like him because everybody likes him. Oh, no, because that means there's more Deadpool stuff I can get.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes Deadpool, and then it goes Howard the Duck, and then it goes with my number one favorite. He who knows fear burns at the man things touch. And that is my number one. He's controller of the of all the different realms in the Marvel universe, the Nexus and whatnot. And a matter of fact, this is his 50th year anniversary going on right now, and they're doing a great storyline where they're arcing. They started off with Avengers, they went to Spider-Man, they just went to X-Men, and now they're getting ready to finish it all off with the Curse of the Man thing coming out in July. I don't know why I'm plugging them, but you know what? Let's have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I too am actually a huge
Yeah, I
comic
could sit
book
here and
fan.
talk to you for like 5-6 hours about Man Thing. So
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of comic books. Like I used to work for a comic website, Comic Watch. I actually had started the wrestling program over there, but then I was like, no, I kind of want to do my own thing. And then this is how Beckelbaum was essentially born. So yeah,
The origin story.
yeah, it's our origin story. So it's really interesting.
I know. So what? Hey, there you go. You have it. This is an origin story. We need to find an artist and write it out.
Absolutely. So it's always interesting to see because I feel like comic book fans and wrestling fans are all so cohesive almost. And yet at the same time, it's either you hate it or love it. There's no in between. But I noticed that there's a strong relationship with it.
What I'm liking too, and you're exactly right. What I'm also liking that I'm seeing what's happened recently is because of the Marvel movies, people that you would never see pick up a comic book are starting to dabble, as well as with wrestling. Because, and that's one of the things is when you see the WWE films out and you have The Rock doing every single jungle movie or skyscraper movie that there is. In every one of those, and you got John Cena now. He finally grew his hair out, so he wants to be an adult actor. Well, not that's not what I meant. But you know what I mean. A grown up, and so now you're seeing people that are watching them, on the screen in a different aspect, and then they want to be like, well, this guy was a wrestler, but let me go back and look. And so now you're getting people interested in wrestling because they're seeing where their favorite Hollywood stars started off at. So that's one of the things that I'm starting to notice now, because people that would never discuss anything with me about professional wrestling are now like, did you see Dark last night on YouTube? When I was I was asleep. But tell me, I'm now having
like
more
me.
fun. I'm one of my favorite things now is to not watch wrestling, but to listen to people talk to me about it that really have never seen any of it before.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, he took the mats off of a ring. Why would you take the mats off the ring? Well, because it exposes the wood. And then he slammed them in the wood. Yeah, I bet it hurt, didn't it? And just watching how they look, I know it's fake, but how is that fake? Yeah, like when I did it one time. We did a fake hardcore match, as we called it, fake core match, and like the thumbtacks were actually little silver sequins, and we had the aluminum ball bats were actually rolled up aluminum foil. Like we went out of our way to try to make it look as cheesy as possible. So
Oh my God.
it's like, because you always had we always had people that do that. So the barbed wire is just like silver shoestring tied around the bat, right? Oh yeah, totally.
That's
Did
great.
you have fake blood too?
Oh God, I hate that. Now I will say I only dabbled in false blood once, and it was supposed to, because I didn't want to get I didn't want to get hit hard enough to have actual internal bleeding. So you understand why I'm sorry. I had to, no.
Yeah.
But at the same time, anytime I did bleed in the ring or get color or gimmick or whatever you want to call it, I do what they call the hard way, mostly because I had an instance in 2002. It was a cage match, and they wanted everybody to bleed in that match. And the guy came up to me with a small razor blade and, here, let me tape this on your finger. I was like, okay, very well. And when the time came in the match, they had the back of my head and was grinding it side to side, back and forth, side to side. And it was my time. So I'm fiddling and never doing this before. Wasn't fully trained on how you're supposed to hiddenly expose the razor onto your finger. So I'm just sitting here and somebody's going, what's he doing? Why is he chewing on his finger? And I was like, because I taped it way too well. And so I finally got it done. And I'm sitting here trying to, and nothing's happening. I'm like, nothing's happening. 4, 5 times. Still nothing's happening. So then I was like, maybe if I just slowly push and drag, we'll get it done. And as soon as I went to push, one of my opponents decided to come behind and kick me. And when he kicked me in my side, his foot bounced off, hit my elbow, and pushed the razor up into my skull. Oh, it gets better, Orlando. You hold still. Laughter dies, and now we keep going. So the match is over. I am now the only one who hasn't bled, but I have this nice little shiny thing stuck underneath the first or second layer of skin in my forehead. We go to the back, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm slowly pulling it out. Still nothing. An hour has passed, and I remember as I have my gear bag, getting ready to go out and collect my merch. As I'm walking through, and the show had just ended, there's maybe 3 or 4 people left. I sneeze. That's when I got the color. Better late than never, I guess, because those three people saw me come out with a flow of blood.
Oh, damn.
And they were so excited. They're like, man, he got beat up so bad. So I promised myself and anybody that I ever worked, I said, look, if I'm going to bleed in this match, you better hit me hard enough to do it. And so far, everybody's obliged. Not to my liking, but they have. But I mean, recently, I last year, I actually announced that I would be retiring from any kind of death matches. But that still didn't stop me from bleeding. I mean, I ripped my thumb open trying to zip my boot up. So it was one of the best. I was in a doors match with Justin Kyle, and 5 minutes before we go out, I'm supposed to put my boots on, and as I was having difficulty with my zipper, and ended up ripping my thumb open. So I just kept my hand like this and just kept it clenched in the very first door I went through. As soon as I went through it, I squeezed my thumb, got my color. Then so it's like I have accidentally, like, this isn't supposed to be a match with blood, and of course I'm bleeding profusely because the veins on your fingers and your forehead are usually very close, and they bleed like flowing water. So if you're ever like, I don't know if I am borderline diabetic, and they got those little things where you check your blood sugar. And as soon as I do that, I immediately have to plug it up because it's a fountain. And I'm like, so now it's like, if I never want to have to get my forehead cut open, I'm just going to prick my finger a little bit and just, which will be funny then because you'll see me on video just doing this a bunch, finger painting with Rattlocke. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
I don't even remember. Sarah, you're the hostess and the mostest.
We've gone so far off topic, I forget where we were to begin with.
Hi, we're here with Orlando. Hi, Orlando. I got a couple questions for you. So now I'm looking at you. Stop laughing, Orlando. Stop it. Anyhow,
What
I
got you
feel like it's
into wrestling? Like when?
half the. Oh, dang it! There it is. I got interrupted. I was going to go all Brady Bunch and be like,
No, go ahead. Continue.
no, okay. You said what got me into wrestling?
Yeah.
Practice.
That's fair.
I really
I
thought that
guess.
would get a bigger laugh. But what got me into wrestling was I was probably, I want to say, living in Indiana, we had a WrestleMania 8. And even though I was in the nosebleeds, I got to see it. And seeing how the crowd reacted made me want to do it at first. Like, you're a little kid, though. I mean, I don't know if you're a little kid. I was a little kid at the time. I never ask ages of people. But it wasn't until I think I was 16 years old, 15 years old. And I went to an armory, and it was one of the first times I saw wrestling to where if I reached out, I could touch the ring. So in the match, the one that really got me was this guy came out, and I'll admit he looked kind of goofy, very long face, somebody that if you saw them, you wouldn't have immediately thought, especially during that time, this is a professional wrestler. And he put on one of the most amazing matches I had seen being 15 years old. And that man was Nate the Spider Webb. And I remember seeing him after the show, getting an autograph and telling him, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. I'm going to do everything I can to face you one day or at least be on a show with you. And some things happened. He was like, I'd love to see you do it. Now, I saw him recently, and he doesn't remember me, which I don't blame him. I mean, it was like, what, yeah. It's like 23 years had passed, so if he still remembered me just from that one spot, there'd be issues. But he recently went into semi-retirement, and I wish him well. But I got to tell him about it and stuff, and he was just like, really? Well, that's really cool. And I could tell him the armory we were at and this and that and the other, who he faced, the moonsault that helped him win. I told him, like I said, that's how I know. And he was like, man, you really like that match. I was like, you inspired me for the next 3 years, because I did not receive any training until I was 18. And I was trained by Bobo Brazil Jr. With Midwestern Championship Wrestling, which then became New Era Wrestling out of Shelbyville, Indiana. And I only trained for 6 days before my debut.
Wow.
So I kept saying I wasn't ready, but we had this other guy that was there. His name escapes me. He wasn't training there for long. He had one of these kind of voices when he talked to you and stuff. He's like probably 5'8", and well, let me see you take a back bump real quick. And I said, well, how do you do it? So he brought 2 or 3 guys in, have them take back bumps real quick. I went, okay. So then I did it. I'll do it again. Okay. Do it 3 times. Just hit, get up. So I did it. All right, let me see a front bump. It was front bump. He's wanting me to automatically know what it is. Well, I learned based off of visuals, and I'm a hands-on person. So as soon as he brought somebody in to do it, I went, oh, okay. So then, boom. Well, get up and do it again. Boom. Get up and do it again. All right. How you feel? I don't know. How am I supposed to feel? Excited? I kind of got to pee. So let's run the ropes. Okay, so he had me run the ropes. He had me go into the corner. He worked me back and forth for like maybe 15 minutes. And hold on, I have to turn on my sensor. Okay. After I did all that, he turned around, threw his hands up in the air, and goes, "Hey, we got a natural." And the other people that had been training for 6 or 7 months did not like the fact that he said that. So my first in-ring debut was like Ichikoma Weeder and like what's his name? I just watched a couple of his matches the other day. Brian Christopher.
Okay.
I believe. Yes. The gentleman that passed away, Lawler's son. They were having a match, and I was supposed to do a run out, and this was in the fairgrounds. And one of the guys that had the issue, as soon as I had shown up, I got into the ring, couple forearms and whatnot. He goes to throw me in the ropes, gives me a clothesline, boom. And he's supposed to just push me out of the ring. Instead, he picks me up and he goes, "All right, this time you're going to go over." Well, what was told in the back was I was supposed to be on the ground. He was supposed to kick me. I was supposed to roll out. This is at the fairgrounds, and the ring is sitting in the center of a giant gravel pit. And he immediately, and when he goes to throw me out, I didn't even have a chance to try to catch the top rope or anything. He just sack of potatoed me right over the top. And I went probably a good 6-7 feet away from the ring before landing into the gravel. And pants that I just got at Gadzooks at the time, which was Hot Topic before Hot Topic was Hot Topic. Nice pleather pants, my name on the side. I hand stitched it myself and tore them straight down the inseam, just shreds and everything like that. And I go to the back, and my leg is bleeding and everything. And they came up to me and they're like, "Welcome to wrestling. So we're gonna see you back for training." Well, yeah, it happens. And so when I told him that, though, the one trainer came to me, he's like, "Look, they're just razzing on you and stuff like that." Because back in the day, they still did stuff like that. They would haze, and it's like when Hulk Hogan made the whole comment when he wanted to be a pro wrestler. The very first thing the guy did was he put his arm in a ringer and then broke his wrist. And he's like, "If you can wrestle with a broken wrist, then okay, you can be a part of this group." So my very first time, they did not like the fact that I had only trained for 6 days. So they threw me over the top rope into the gravel. I got all scratched and cut up, but I showed up 2 days later for our next day of practice to train. And that's when Bobo and the other guy basically said, "Look, you guys gave him crap. He is still here. Leave him alone." And from that moment on, I started getting tag matches, single matches, and just continued just learning as I went. Not a whole lot of people do that. Depending on when I train, depending on seeing how a student would pick up, would gear whether I would say, "Okay, we're gonna do a show. I'm gonna have you booked for the show, but you can only do this, this, and this." Or I tell them, "Look, you go nowhere near the ring until I feel comfortable." I've had some people that I've trained where I've only trained them 2 or 3 days, and I say, "Look, you do the back bump really good. You go over the ropes. We're gonna put you in a battle royal. All you gotta do is punch, punch, kick, kick, and get over."
Yeah.
But I've had some wrestlers, a week with, and I said, "I'm gonna work you in a match. These are the only spots you're gonna do." And they're like, "Well, I want to get my move set in." And I'm like, "What the hell is a move set? We only have 5 minutes. You're not going to do 25 different things to me. No." And that's one of the things that drives me nuts when people always talk about a move set. One thing that I have that not a whole lot of other wrestlers have, and there's one famous enough that people look at it and they see it happen all the time, but they don't realize what he's doing. And everybody always wants to have a nice offense move set. Nobody ever wants to have one where they have a move set where it's happening to them. And I pull the curtain back a little bit. Like, for instance, Ric Flair. Ric Flair always has that spot. He gets thrown into the corner. He flips over the corner, starts to walk around, gets clothesline, takes his back bump onto the apron. He'll either roll back in or roll back out, depending. You never really see too many other wrestlers that want to do spots where it makes them look bad. or not look bad, but at least they don't want to have specialties. Like I have mine, and whoever watches this, they're going to see it probably in 20 of my matches. I always do a spot where they either duck my clothesline or they my back is to them. They'll take one of my knees down and I drop to a knee. And as soon as that happens, they're going to either big boot, drop kick me in the face, or give me a quick shining wizard for a pin. Almost anybody, like me and one of my favorites was me and Fabu Andre for AWR. We did that spot, and he was like, "Well," and he asked me why I thought of something for him to do to me, and I basically told him, "It's like this is a spot that I know I take, and I take the bump really well on it, so I would like you to perform it to me." And he's like, "I never thought of coming up with a possible set that I could tell," because I'm like, because that's the whole thing. You can go into a match knowing what you want to do to that wrestler. But I mean, for instance, I had a match with this guy called Golden Boy. He was probably 5'6", 550 pounds. At the time, was doing jackhammers, installing suplexes, and power bombs. One of the things I still like to do, even though I'm funny, is remain realistic. Realistically, at the time, I was only 245 pounds. So for me to do a stalling suplex on this gentleman or a power bomb would just completely break reality. So it then becomes, what do I have to, like, it's basically me saying, what moves would you like to take from me? And as soon as we had the match done, he said, I need to remember those moves. And from that point, I was like, yeah, I need to have moves that I know. If you're this tall, or if you're this small, or if you're this big, or you're this tall, what can you do to me that will make you look good as well? Because we're all telling a story, and we don't want the other one to look bad. Because if you make the other wrestler look bad, you can make the match look bad. If you make the match look bad, they don't buy your stuff. And if they don't buy your stuff, these lights are going to go out.
That's a good wrestling psychology.
Yeah, it is.
And that's how I got into wrestling.
Going back a little bit, Ric Flair, definitely, he was one of the ones, that had that kind of move set. The only I can think of off the top of my head maybe is Dolph Ziggler, because he's got that one where he jumps into the corner ring post.
Yeah.
Yes. And see, and what happens is you'll see wrestlers, they'll watch back for the first time they do that, and they see how the crowd reacts when it happens to them. And they go, and if it doesn't spark that in their head where they go, oh my God, I have to have this happen to me. Not every match. But if the match is either going slow or maybe the fans aren't into it, there's something we have to do that'll get the fans back into it. And that's when you start pulling stuff like that out. Anytime there's a dead spot, I will tell them, take me to a knee, drop kick me. I'll say it real quick. Or I'll be like, just, get me to a knee, take me down. And they go, okay. We had the one where it was me and Taylor Myers, where he took me down to a knee, but instead of dropping me, he came off the ropes for a bulldog. It's still the same style, but the fans loved it. Well, they didn't love it. They booed him. He's the bad guy. So, but still, it did what it needed to do. Because at the time, the match was starting to, like, the fans were, and then they were kind of like, you want a beer? So it's like, what do we got to do real quick to try to get the fans back into the match? Gotcha. Now, back in the day, it used to be up to the referee. The referee would be the guy that would keep not only observant of the match, he would keep an eye on the timekeeper, the bell ringer, and the crowd. If he noticed, because the wrestlers were only supposed to really focus on each other. So the referee would also keep an eye on the crowd. And if he saw that the crowd was starting to die, he would say, okay, we need to get some heat. He would, when he would go and check on the wrestlers, what can we do? All right, you need to get a hot spot in, get a false hope going or something like that. And the referee would talk it all out. Now we're leaving it up to the wrestlers. And even if the wrestlers are eating it up and enjoying themselves, if the fans don't care, then you're just taking up their time for the main event to show up. And you always have to make sure that you play up to the fans. So, and that's why it's great to have moves that you can have other wrestlers do. And you have to be a good wrestler and that's the one thing. And everybody says it's only up to the jobber. But, watch Shawn Michaels sell stuff. He oversells,
Oh
but
yeah.
the fans eat it up.
Mhm.
I could have a match. I could have a match with Sarah right now and make Sarah just, look like Captain Marvel. I could have Orlando be the strongest person on the earth. I can, because I know how to take moves, and I did it to for this child's birthday. I had him come into the ring, and I made him choke slam me, and you would have thought this kid was Superman. But me being the scientist, I had the serum and the spray and made the kid believe that he suddenly had a superpower, and went up to him and boom, he totally took me down. Now, after the serum wore off, I bludgeoned him with a shovel, and
Happy birthday, kid.
his mother wasn't too happy, but it's
Nope.
fine. The checks in the mail. Don't worry. It was in the ring. It was an accident. We planned for it.
So we've talked about Vinny, the promoter, Vinny, the wrestler. Now, how about Vinny, the spokesman? You've got this new project coming out that you're working with other people. Total Control Wrestling, the tabletop game.
Ooh.
Yes. No, that's it. We're
So,
done. No.
okay, that's good.
No. The funny thing was, I actually reached out to them first. Like I said, I'm out on hiatus right now, and I want to spend this time. A lot of times when you see wrestlers out on injury and whatnot, for instance, a wrestler I know, Justin Kyle, just had an injury this weekend and broke his orbital, and he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
And he's got a family as well to take care of. So while this is going on, a lot of wrestlers are using this as their main source of income. So when something like this comes to light, they have to think during this off time, what am I going to do to take care of things and like I said, keep yourself current, because I'm out for 12. I'll be gone for 12 weeks. By the time I come back, will people remember me? Will it be the same and whatnot? So you have to constantly, even when you're not working, you have to constantly work, which I'm doing, and I'm trying to find many different avenues. And there's a couple others, but one of the things that I've noticed was on Facebook, I saw that there was an advertisement for a tabletop wrestling game called Total Control Wrestling. And when I looked into it, I was very intrigued and I was entertained by the idea. And I thought it was actually, by looking at some of the stuff, seemed pretty simple. I myself am a nerd. I like gaming. I played Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Director's Cut, Morton's List. I played it all, but not all. But I played pretty much any kind of tabletop game, even Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Ultimate Fighting System. So I've had my share.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw this, I was like, what a perfect time, because a couple years ago, people don't realize there was a tabletop wrestling game called Luchador, and they had 5 different books come out. So, but they eventually, fell by the wayside. So this is a newcomer, and it seems simple enough. And what I like is when you can pick somebody up, off the side of the road. No, when you anybody that's never even gamed before, you can bring them in, set them down, and say, "Here's the rules, real quick, and this is what it's going to take to set up a character." And if it's pretty simple and fast to set up a character, you can have just anybody playing it. And that's what I was liking about this game. And that's why I reached out to them and said, hello, I hope your game comes to fruition. By the way, I wrestle. And I would be interested in helping you. And he was intrigued. And he was like, so what would I need to do to have you help me? And I said, $75,000. 3 days passed, and I finally said, I was just kidding. And basically, I told him that what I would have thought would have been good, since he was showing me some of his characters and stuff, found out that all of the wrestlers that are in the books, because he has the character creation, how you run it and set it all up, but then he's got already made characters. So if you're running a game, because you can run the game by yourself, so you make your sheet up and everything, and you want to know how a match is going to go, and you don't have any actual person to go against, you can select a one of the rosters from a book, and he's got multiple books for East Coast, West Coast, and whatnot, but they're all made up by him and the people part of his group. Well, I said, well, how would you like somebody that is actually in the wrestling business and has a little bit of chops? I'd like to think that I'm good at talking. As I can tell, we are currently at 46 minutes and 24 seconds. And so I offered some of my expertise in filming promos and whatnot, and going as far as to put my 2 cents in on things, and trying to help run this Kickstarter that he has as if it is a promotion in itself, because he's got a really good deal. The one thing that he doesn't have, which honestly doesn't matter, because I've seen the gimmicks that he's had, they're really good, and they're typical, the run-of-the-mill that you would see in indie shows as well as big-time shows. And they're in a way that nobody can come and try to sue for gimmick infringement. So, bravo to him. But I told him, let me come on being an actual wrestler and see if I can help bring more interest, not from the gaming realm, but from the actual wrestling realm. Because I think I have fans. So maybe I can convince some of my fans to, also see what I see in this game and be a part of it as well. So I've filmed 2 vignettes, and you can find them on the website at totalcontrolwrestling.com. And also on the front page, you can click on the link, and it'll take you to their Kickstarter. And you'll see my videos on there as well as I believe it's a 43-minute video run by the creator himself and a friend of his. And they grab you by the hand and they walk you through character creation, setting up the matches, setting up a show. So you already are going to know how to play the game before the game even shows up to your doorstep. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Playing a lot of tabletop games myself, pre-pandemic and everything, running a group locally. It's definitely helpful to have those kind of videos where we show you how to get the setup going and how to play. There's been a few where it's like some of the rules are just so confusing and they get too outlandish with the game. It's like, I don't really understand how to play or what we're supposed to be doing, and then the game just sits on your shelf for years and years.
Exactly. And what I'm liking about this is the fact that this game is very bare bones. And it kind of takes you back to how it's supposed to be, where you are the one improvising things, not the game itself. This is an RPG, not a script. You're not going with a script.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll actually if either of you, I'm not including Orlando. Sorry. But
it's good. We always pick on Orlando.
All right, Orlando,
yeah,
you can go ahead. But it's because of the glasses. I'm sorry, Orlando. I think your glasses are nice. But I will say that I've lost my train of thought, so I need to throw some coals in the engine. Igor,
It's
help me.
Orlando. He does it to us all the time.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I always am that person.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Wednesday's Orlando's fault day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no, I mean
there you
that's what I like about it is because I will explain in one of the videos that's already out, that's on the Kickstarter as well as the website. People are sick of the script because they've seen it so many times before. They know so and so is going to come out and do this, and so is going to do that, and so is going to come off the top and go for this, but this is going to happen, and so is going to win. Yay! Well, if you already know what's going to happen, why are you going to continue sitting there watching the same thing? Just like certain video games. If you're playing video games and board games, now because I used to play Vampire, the Requiem, and Masquerade, and we had an ST there. And he was kind of diseased in his head, so he was more of an STD. And anyway, he had a specific script that he wanted to go by. If you did anything that he did not approve of, your character was basically forfeit. And it's terrible to play because the whole idea is you want your character to do things. And if you go against the ST, the whole idea is it's improv. The ST should roll with what the player wants. But this gentleman was, if you did something I didn't want, I will kill your character. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that's not what this is either, because you can play with by yourself, not with yourself. I mean, you can't. I just don't do it here, not on camera.
Nah,
So
You hear that, Orlando?
little late night humor.
I'm not the one with the OnlyFans.
You're watching. You are currently watching Bucklebum up all night. But how many kids out there are going to understand what that reference was? So that's the beautiful thing about doing a single player is you don't know what the result's going to be because you have to roll the dice. And if it's not the way you want it to happen, tough noogies, figure out a way around it, and that's what I'm enjoying knowing about this game, and that's why I cannot wait to see this game come to life. I've also started reaching out to friends of mine that run comic book shops and game stores, anybody that can carry a board game, a tabletop game, a card game, to have them check out this site, because I mean, really, I don't know. It's like at one time, the gentleman even asked me, and I still thought it was funny because he said, "Now, do you honestly have any faith in this game? Or are you just doing this because you're going to have some fun?" And I responded to him with a question, because that's how I always do. You ask my wife, she hates it.
Does she?
Nice. Oh, yeah. But I told him, I said, my question is, do you have faith in this game? Because if you don't have faith in this game, I can leave right now. Because what I saw gave me faith in this game. So, and he said, "Oh, I have absolute faith in this game." He was just wanting to make sure that he could also have faith in me. Well, I'm here to tell you that this game needs to come out. It needs to come to fruition. This endeavor that I have taken with Total Control Wrestling is an absolute must. Just for the fact that we need to, as I say in the video, this game is going to help us take back our Mondays. This will help us take back our Tuesdays, our Wednesdays, our Fridays, hell, even our Sundays. So why sit at the television and... No, go ahead, Sarah.
I think the easiest way it can be explained to people. Maybe it was like a choose your own adventure book, but wrestling themed.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And that's the whole idea. It's like, why sit in front of a television and know what's going to happen, and then just be like, nope, no, yeah, why am I even here? Sit at the table with your friends, or if you're still at bay with the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, um, Zoom it. They're going to have it available on PDF. They're going to have it available, paperback. Play with your friends. We could. I mean, if I had the game with me right now, which they're working on getting to me, you guys could have a game right now on Buckle Bomb, setting up characters, playing the game, giving a full review on what you thought of it. But we can't
Actually,
do
we could
that
do that. We do
until.
have a game night that we generally do. It's only once a month, but that's something that we could
I know
possibly
you're saying you could do that.
We
I know
will do
I know
that.
you're saying you could do that. However, in 27 days, we'll find out if you can do that. I will say, though, as of right now, as of this moment, we are past the 20% mark of having the main game, the bare bones, coming to fruition. And that's only 72 hours. So it's $5,000 is what the main goal is. And we're already at 1,113.
Oh, nice.
So we're
That's
getting
great.
very close to being there with only 27 days left. Now, there will be days when nobody's going to jump on the bandwagon,
Mhm.
and they are fools for doing so. But I honestly believe it's going to hit the $5,000. What I am trying to do mostly is have it hit the stretch of $10,000. And the reason why is because currently the roster booklets are going to be only available as a PDF. However, if the roster booklets will become physical if the $10,000 mark is hit. And it will not be at a profit to the game creators. That is going to be what they have at cost to make sure that the game will reach everybody that wants to be a part of it. And the reason why I want to push so hard is because he has made a deal with me, and I would like this deal to come true. And one of the roster books he never did was a Midwest division. Now, let's face it, guys. Some of the best wrestlers, and I'll fight you on this, but not too physical. Uh, a vast majority of the wrestlers, especially some of the best ones, come from the Midwest, and that's why you see a lot of promotions want to travel to Indiana and Chicago and Florida, and they're all, even though Florida's down on the coast, it's still considered a Midwest area. So that's the whole point, is we need a Midwest roster, and he has now left it up to me to select myself and 17 other individuals that are actual live professional wrestlers to be a part of this roster. And I've already started asking around. We will be the only 18 individuals that are actual wrestlers a part of this game. So
Nice.
we hit the $10,000.
Awesome.
We can be characters that you can face in the game. I mean, if you want to say it, this is an army I am building. And the only way I can build this army is with your help. Because this will be my army of Zabadass warriors. Or, Vinny is my middle name. Vinny's a badass. So.
So I have one other question in regards to the game. When we play it on
Just one?
if we had, or when we have our game night and to play this game, would you want to join us for our first time?
$75,000.
Okay, so we'll wait 3 days, and then we'll wait to hear back from you.
No, yeah, I'd love to play. I would love to
Great.
play. I if I'm going to be a character in the game, I might as well play. I mean,
Absolutely.
would that give me some weird like godly mode? Would I be allowed to like look at my sheet and say, no, that's not what I would do. Not today.
Double hit points.
Not today, Sarah. I'm going to drop kick you. Drop kick is not a part of your move set. I don't care. I'm doing it. Okay, roll. 2. You stub your toe trying to lift yourself off the ground. That'll be fun. I would love to play with you guys. I mean, I'll try to grab some of the other people that'll be a part of the roster too. But we have to hit that $10,000 mark. I feel that we can do it. No, well, I mean, we'll probably have the book, but it'll be in PDF form. But I'm one of those, old school guys, as you can tell. And I love the feel of the paper in between my fingers. So that's why I had so much problems with, the comic books going digital. It's not fun doing this. It's fun. And I just, oh crap, that was a mint book. Oh God, I screwed it up again. So that's one of the things. We got to have physical copies of this because it's also something fun that I can sign for fans.
Yeah.
I'm still practicing my penmanship after 21 years. So, and if this happens, you'll all have a signed copy.
Awesome.
I'll make sure I write my name on something. Dear God.
Well, as we wrap up, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, for those who are watching or listening to us, you can get the Kickstart linkage below on YouTube, and then all of our media will go ahead, and once this is posted, we'll make sure that you guys get all of the information.
So as we wrap up our first episode here, I'm sure we'll have Vinny on plenty more times. We'd like to play a little game we call Top Rope Turmoil.
$75,000. Oh, no, sorry.
That seems to be a golden number for you.
So I'm going to ask you
put that graphic back up. That was fun.
Sure. Is it because it hides Orlando's face?
Yeah, pretty much.
Bass. Oh, sorry.
That's it. So this is our rapid fire game. So I'll ask you 6 questions, some wrestling, some non-wrestling. You just spit out the first answer that comes to you.
Cool.
The one and only ice cream flavor you would eat if you could only eat one more for the rest of your life.
Superman with French vanilla.
I've seen that. I've not had it, but I've seen it. If you could turn any movie into a gimmick match, what movie is it going to be?
Fifth Element. 5 corners, each element in each corner.
Oh, I like
That's
that.
great.
Which will probably be happening sometime next year. You guys don't know that about me yet. Anyway, next question.
What is the best show to binge watch?
Whose line is it anyway?
That's great. Where would you go on a dream vacation if price was a factor?
Nepal. I would have a no-ring match way up on one of those mountains. I'd probably challenge a Tibetan monk.
That would be great.
I misheard you. I thought you said St. Paul. I was like, okay.
We can fight a monk there too.
Yeah.
If I ever had a chance, I would like to go straight over to Des Moines, Iowa.
If you could book one dream match,
Topeka, Kansas would be my ideal place.
if you could book one dream match for a show you're running, what match would that be?
Living or dead?
Either or.
Samson versus Hercules. Hernandez.
Ooh.
And finally, would you take
We're
front
talking
row?
Samson as in El Santo. So
Nice. front row seats for WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom?
Wrestle Kingdom, hands down.
Because not only do you get to probably go overseas to Japan, I mean,
Exactly. You know.
But yeah, I'll take front row seats to a backyard show before I go to WrestleMania. And the next year you see me at WrestleMania going, I'm a liar. That's my dream vacation. Austin, Texas. As you can tell, I'm lying.
No.
Where'd your dream
No.
vacation? Home.
No, you're not.
Asleep. With my family taking a small 3-hour car ride so I can get some sleep.
All right, well, that's all the
I would
time we got
clone
for
myself
today.
to go on vacations and tell me how it is.
Tell me what you did and how was
Too
it?
bad. So did we have fun? The Shadow
did.
Clone.
Yes.
Boom. I hope we had fun. I mean, that's
Yeah,
all
we
I'm
did.
about. Is
I did.
we
Yes.
need to have some fun.
Of course.
So when are we going to start this interview?
Now's a good time as always.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here live with Sarah, Brian, Orlando, part of the How Is It to Podcast. Brian, so when did you decide to start podcasting?
Who knows? It just kind of came to me.
Sarah, if you were supposed to eat one kind of pizza for the rest of your life, what kind of pizza would it be? And why would there be no sausage on it?
It would probably be a veggie pizza, and well, no
It's
sausage
Tuesday.
because it's a veggie.
Orlando, what is it like to be named after a person who played an elf?
I thought you were going to ask me about this, the state of Florida. Be like, how do you feel like being named after a city? But
I mean,
I was going to say the state of Florida is currently in a terrible state right now. Did you
don't
see the
remind me,
garbage
please.
that the governor did?
Yeah, no.
It's despicable.
no.
I hate that governor.
Anyway,
What did he do? I'm really curious. Sorry. I'll ask you later, Alonso.
no,
You'll ask me later.
it's terrible. Yeah, we'll go off air and talk about it because that still gets me a little steamed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's our show. Ha 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 ha. Let's just end this on a high note.
Yes.
Yes, we should.
Dog died the other day. High note.
All right, so Orlando will pay you your $75,000 fee, and we will have you on for a game night. Hopefully
There
sooner
you
than
go.
later.
Awesome. Checks in the mail.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us, Vinny. Is there anything else you want to promote right before we hop off here?
Oh yeah. We have our own streaming channel. It currently only has 2 shows on, which is Panic at the Dojo, which is the show I talked about earlier was on the 3rd floor of the building, as well as Cabin Fever, which is an experiment that I conducted on 5 wrestlers in which they drove themselves so nuts that they decided to wrestle against inanimate objects. You'll see Remington Roar suplex a refrigerator, as well as watch Taryn do a roll-up pin on a small cement mixer. And Mitch Onyx get bludgeoned to death by a small stuffed panda bear. So it is called the Badass Pro Wrestling Network. And it's the Badass Pro, which is ZABADAS.
Which we will link in the video description as well.
Pivotshare.com. Perfect.
All right.
And you can search me. You can YouTube me or anything like that. Just type up Vinny Rattlocke, and you'll see all kinds of crazy stuff I do on YouTube. I drink things and I eat things and I wrestle people.
Do you have a Twitter or an Instagram that you want to put out there?
Yes, but I don't remember what they're called. No, yes. My Twitter is @BoathandR. My Instagram is TheBadassGoggles. And my OnlyFans. No, I don't have one of those. My TikTok, however, is Vinny Rattlocke. So you can find me on there as well.
Great.
My Craigslist, no, hotmail.com, AOL.com.
Old school.
I think
My
you're
Yahoo
aging me and
Messenger.
Sarah because I think we both were in that era when AOL was still on dial-up.
There was a TikTok I saw earlier,
It's like-
kind of going on topic here. It had two people that were our age and then like one quite a bit younger. And it said, here's one sound that will age everybody. And it was the 56K modem sound.
Oh my god!
The young kid had no idea what it was.
Oh, like
Yeah.
people don't understand when I get brain fog and I say, I think I just blue screened. And they're like, what? Like you're thinking about something that just suddenly goes, and
Screen
now
to
you have
death.
Nyan Cat. And like people don't understand who Nyan Cat is. Oh my god, did you see the guy? Do you know about the one cat, the kitty cat dance? The cat, I'm a kitty cat. And I dance. And now I owe him $75,000. He's turning his original track into an NFT and selling it online.
Oh.
It's like, so all this crypto stuff is now starting to really blow up. And I'm going to, that's one of the things I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have a trading card series only available as an NFT in the next couple of months. So I'm going to dabble in it as well. You know, it's an experiment. I'm a scientist.
Mhm.
What are you going to do?
It's science.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I can see
Well, that'll do
everybody
it.
else's shoulders except for yours, Orlando. Come on.
I love that you actually look at him and like it's perfect from just watching. Like I really like that.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Very Brady Bunch.
Oh, God, did you just spit on my head? Sarah, tell Brian to stop.
He has a drooling problem.
Yeah.
Who are you looking at? You're looking over there.
I looked at the wrong direction. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all for us here today.
Anyway.
Find us on Twitter at BuckleBombENT. Shop our merch store at shopbucklebomb.com. And of course, find us on Facebook and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.